I want to discuss a few of these names with you, and the first one is a lady named Laurene Powell-Jobs, who I think is one of the people who's jeopardizing our republic the most. Have you heard of Laurene Powell-Jobs? She's the widow of Steve Jobs, Apple, and you know they kicked Steve Jobs out of Apple, which he founded, and then he founded Pixar, and then he went back to Apple. So impressive guy. And he married this lady named Laurene Powell-Jobs, and he died young of cancer. She inherited all of his money. And here's what she did with that. First of all, in 2013, she went to Washington, D.C., started dating the mayor, a guy named Adrian Fenty, literally. She bought the Washington Capitals and was setting the stage to take over the establishment media. She purchased The Atlantic, which is a very popular Beltway corridor, D.C., New York type magazine from a guy named David Bradley, who is a longtime Beltway insider. Then she invested in a company called Axios. Now Axios, she poached some stars of Politico, big DC paper, started this entity, and then donated generously to Mother Jones, which is a far left outlet. She does this all through something called the Emerson Collective, which is a quasi-nonprofit which is run mostly by Obama alumni. A guy named Arne Duncan, who is the education secretary, is in the leadership, for example. And the Emerson Collective owns all this stuff and operates as a charity. But the main purpose is actually to get her money into the hands of left-wingers in a way that is as hidden as possible and is hard to tax with nonprofit status. So for example, in 2016, Emerson Collective gave $2.5 million to a DC super PAC called Priorities Action USA. Nonprofits are normally restricted from doing this sort of thing. It's political activity. All of this activity is political one way or another. But Emerson Collective's business model, which is unique and I think actually sort of genius. It allows for these donations to take place and a lot of them to get kept under wraps, and she gets away with it. She's funded dozens of DC-aligned voter registration groups. All this sounds kind of political, right? The synergy between her media empire and her political agenda is pretty clear because she also funds things like Stacey Abrams' Fair Fight voting effort. She also funds something called Now This. Have you guys ever heard of Now This? If you haven't, good for you. Congrats on that. They try to do things like make memes from the January 6th committee go viral. And they try to get Nancy Pelosi speeches to get popular or go viral online. So Jobs is tight with Kamala Harris. So naturally, The Atlantic started lavishing praise on Kamala Harris in the 2020 primary, or I'm sorry, in the primary before the 2020 election. Here's how The Atlantic described Harris. She was in South Carolina and she was ordering a pulled pork sandwich. The patrons are dazzled by Harris, whose star quality drew 20,000 people to her kickoff rally in Oakland. The dynamism she displayed there made the event feel like a cause or a concert. Kamala-palooza, and gave her campaign significant momentum. That's a statement that aged like a banana. So they also had their most notable hoax is where they falsely claimed via their editor-in-chief, a guy named Jeffrey Goldberg, that Donald Trump called fallen Marines suckers and losers on a trip to Europe. Even anti-Trump figures like John Bolton and John Kelly from the Trump White House debunked this to us at Breitbart News. We ended up debunking this story. They never apologized for this. They stood by it every step of the way, even though it was blatant fake news.